Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tanguy Jacopin on K2Born. We are in the strategy series, and the topic of today is the critical linkages of corporate strategy. This one is truly important, so pay attention to it. You'll see it's a complex one. We're going to analyze it through the perspective of the major Chinese social network group, Tencent group, and we're going to see how it works. Okay, so let's go on directly to the concept. Whoa, it seems all but obvious. So, what do you need to understand? First, it means that we are talking about a corporation. So, what does it mean? It means that necessarily you have several businesses here. Okay. All the businesses are supposed theoretically to have a competitive advantage, and they are supposed to be controlled by the organization to be sure that they adequately manage. Each at this level. Okay, this is superposition, if you want. There are different triangles, one above the other, and you've got this analysis for each of the company. What happened is that each of the company has some resources. The resources can be tangible or intangible. They can be talent, people. They can be assets, physical assets. They can be patent, brands, all these elements. And it will be the combination of these resources with the businesses that will give some competitive advantage. This is the reason why this one is of utmost importance. Okay, so the most important one, but it's really important. And last, concerning the external triangle, it would be the coherence between the use of the resources and the organization. They would say, well, it makes sense. So, and you would say, yeah, but you haven't talked about relatedness. No. And this is a key point. The relatedness between a good organization, leadership, to say it in another word, and a fair allocation of resources with a competitive advantage, with an evolution of the businesses according to a vision of the world and the adequate vision of the company for this world, will give you the perspective unique. And this will lead you to the corporate advantage. Okay, so this is truly important to see how it works. Okay, so if we are going to analyze the Tencent group, wow, you say, what are we talking about? Well, first, just to provide you some major issues concerning it. So, Tencent group is an institution that is quite peculiar, because basically, except that when sleeping, when you're here, well, basically you can use almost necessarily one of their product, and this is absolutely fantastic. You've got the penguin of QQ, the major one in China. You can see what are you supposed to do during the whole day, and at all the moment you've got the adequate product of Tencent. This is great. So I'm going to explain later on the different type of products that they have, but just to insist somehow on the social empire, I would say that you've got the instant messenger, QQ. So you've got the social network, Pengu, social network, instant messenger, yeah, Qzone, microblogging. You've got two big one in China. One being Tencent Weibo, the other one is Sina Weibo, and WeChat. It's a mobile instant messenger, and it's which is growing at a huge pace. Okay, so when we're looking about this data, you can see that the unit of reference is minimum unit is 100 million. we're talking about a country, as you know, China, with 1,300 million people. But when you see the power of this company, uh, I would say that it hasn't managed yet the monetization of all this activity. We are, without any doubt, in front of one of the major companies in the world. This is the Chinese Google. Okay. Not that much search engine, because most of the time you make the comparison with Baidu. But this company is so powerful that we're going to detail it. But first, before going into it, we're going to see that in terms of external analysis, you can see that internet penetration has moved up at a huge pace. We're talking about more than 500 million inhabitants. Already half of the Chinese population is growing up. In terms of e-commerce sales, China is up. Chow US, and Tencent obviously has a payment solution. Tenpay is not as big as Alipay of Alibaba, but it's moving up as well. And because they've got such an ecosystem, well, you can imagine that they can grow up at a huge pace. So just to, because I think it's quite interesting to let you know this element. So here you've got the situation and the number of users of internet. Where are they? How it's going up, and you can see the number of users in million. And above all, what is interesting is the comparison between US, EU, and China and the rest of the world. And you can see that right now, almost Chinese people represent almost half of the percentage of internet penetration in compared to the rest of emerging market. It's not exact, so it's 1/3 at the worldwide level. But at this point, it's more than 500 million inhabitants at this point, and compared to in the rest of the world, you've got 1.2 billion. So it's 1/3, and in US you've got more than 95% of the population is connected to internet, which means 300 million people. And in this is in Europe, 350, and in US 220 million. So it's more than 80% of the population. And what is interesting as well, because this is on internet, on smartphone is increasing at a huge speed. Which means that this type of smartphone and tablet will have a huge progression in the upcoming years. Okay, so now because we've been talking about Tencent ecosystem, mainly about the social networks, we haven't referred to the universe of online gaming. Games of gaming, and here it's really important because basically what happened is that Chinese are amongst people that gamble more in the world. So you can see the reason why it's so massive. They've got content, news, music, videos, and e-commerce with their own platform. It's in all the cases it's advertising plus search. It can be in instant messaging, or it can be for a different type of terminal. So it's extremely complete. And in that sense, when you're talking about the evolution of Tencent, here you can pick up some former MBA student, Kui-kun, that how it works, and you can see that the database is huge. In terms of talent, imagine more than 12,000 people that are in the R&D department. It's absolutely fantastic, and the fact that they can use the learning element from one platform to the other in terms of database, in terms of crossing data, you can imagine that let's say, domination of Tencent versus the rest of their player will go increasing, even if things in China can go pretty fast in terms of aparition of new players, because the Chinese users of internet are extremely fancy in terms of new things. They are adopting new technology really fast. So if you are not aware about this group, I recommend you to pay lots of attention about it. It's a good way as well to exchange with Chinese citizens and to see what's up without going there and without trying to sell at once. You can have a look about what makes sense, how it's working. You can create your own profile. Really interesting elements that I recommend you to go. So if we make up a summary considering this the critical linkage of Tencent Group, what can we say? Well, overall, what is obvious is that you got amongst the resources, you've got many virtuous circle among businesses protected by external competitors, and in terms of all customers with an increasing power parity in the last 30 years. It helps a lot. If we cross it with the different type of products that you've got, so you've got the different businesses, you can see that it creates a huge competitive advantage, and in terms of relatedness, the ability to generate successful product paves the way to the emergence of new product, because all the other elements of the ecosystem will put up the new product when it's going to be launched. This is the reason why it's an absolute fantastic story, and I recommend you to analyze companies, and above all big groups, through the critical linkage of corporate strategy. Okay, so I hope you enjoy this anytime video, and see you soon. Bye bye. Okay, to one.